Hey everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be doing my 2025 shelf tour update video. So this will be the third year running that I've done one of these types of videos. And as you can see by the first shot of the video here, we have a lot of updates compared to last year, I feel like. So first off, probably the two most glaring updates are these two like half bookshelves that I added actually just like very recently, like as of this month. So we'll definitely be getting into that. But then we also just have a lot of new albums that came in this year. There were a lot of releases, and I really enjoyed like setting up all of these and trying to get these shelves as creative as possible. So very excited to go through that today. In addition to going around shelf by shelf and just showing how they are set up, I will also show my posters at the end of this video, just like I did last year. So we'll kind of keep that trend going. I didn't hang up too many new posters compared to 2024, but there are a couple new ones that I have on hand that I did decide to hang up. And before I get started, I do want to, give a couple disclaimers. So the first one being lighting. So I'm recording this at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. It's actually the day before Christmas Eve. So I think you guys are going to see this after Christmas Day, but I guess a belated Merry Christmas to you guys if you celebrate that holiday. And then, of course, if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. But the lighting in here is probably as good as it's going to get. I tried to record this a little bit earlier in the day, but it just didn't really work out. And it's also cloudy outside, so there really just isn't that much natural light coming in. So I have literally all the lights I can get my hands on set up to hopefully give us sufficient lighting for this video. I also want to mention that I'm recording this completely free-handed, so I don't have a tripod or anything like that to help like try to stabilize the phone. I'm literally just holding the phone in my hand, so I do apologize if the camera gets a little bit shaky at points, but I'm obviously going to try as best I can to just keep it steady throughout the entire video as we go through these shelves. And as a last disclaimer, as I say every year, I just want to put it out there and make it like very clear that I'm not making this video to gloat or show off in any way, shape, or form. I'm literally just making this video to create a log, so I basically know like how my collection has grown over the years. But then I do also get a couple comments throughout the year, asking about my shelves, and that's why I do the community posts now every June, basically at the half point of the year, to highlight what my shelves look like. I don't do a video, but I do a community post with photos. So if you're curious what it looked like back in June, you can check out my latest community post about that. And yeah, that's pretty much all the disclaimers I want to get out the way. So with all that said, I think I'm going to probably start to go over these shelves one by one. My plan for, the order of this video is I'll probably start with the bookcase on the far right, like I always do. And then I'll actually jump bookcase to bookcase to bookcase, and then I'll highlight like the smaller half bookcases because there's honestly not too much on them yet, as you can tell from this first shot here. I will probably highlight those separately after I get through all of the main bookcases. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so to kick off this shelf tour, I figure instead of starting with the albums first, I'll just start with the top of the bookcase itself. So I have just basically a whole bunch of light sticks up here. So as you can see, I have Le Sserafim and Red Velvet and Kiss of Life and aespa's version 1 light stick. And then I also have their keychain. And then behind that, you see the blue box. That's actually a Blu-ray DVD for aespa's latest World Tour DVD. And then over to the right here, this is the poster book for Silgi. So she released this, I think it was like 2, maybe 3 years ago. It might even been longer than that. But she released this poster book. It was 10 original artworks done by herself. So I picked it up and have it nicely displayed on the top of this bookcase here. And then I just have a couple banners from several concerts that I've been to. So I think I have an ITZY banner, which is right there on the front. And then I think I also have an i-dle banner and a Mamamoo banner right behind that. But up next, we of course have the shelves themselves. And so I will start with my Red Velvet shelf, which has pretty much not changed, honestly, since I first started setting up this very first bookcase. So yeah, I kind of just went with this design with all of these albums and kind of stuck with it. So let me get a little bit closer here. You can kind of see all the albums from right to left here. If I can get my finger in the frame, there we go. So from right to left, all of them are in sequential order, so release order. And I kind of just like the setup how it is. And we obviously come over here to Reve Festival 2022. And then I have a couple like knickknacks. So I have the selfie book, and I have this like 8th anniversary, like I guess it's like a acrylic stand thing for Seulgi. So I picked that up and decided to display it. And then I also have this keychain, this random keychain for Red Velvet. That is, of course, where I put my Seulgi Collect book up there in the top left. I have an extra bad boy copy of a CD right up there. And then all the way over here to the right, I have the light stick cover for this Seulgi photo card. So I was trying to think what I could do with the light stick cover because I thought it was like super, super cute. And I honestly didn't want to put it on the light stick as like a display, but I thought it'd be really, really good for a photo card. So I just decided to basically stick this Seulgi photo card inside the top loader and then kind of just fashion it into the light stick cover. So that's kind of how I decided to do that, but I like it so much. I think it looks so cute. And honestly, I don't think there's a lot of new additions to the shelf in the last like year. So you can see Queendom albums in the back there, Cosmic albums, SM Town albums. We have Bloom back there as well. I do actually have a couple Japanese albums that I added back in January. So I did pick up when I was in Japan a copy of Sappy and a copy of Cookie Jar. So this jewel case, I think, is Cookie Jar, and then behind this Bloom album is the copy of Sappy. I don't know if I can really show you guys, but this like pink album right here is Sappy. So yeah, not a whole lot of changes to this shelf, but honestly, I don't change it because I like it so much. So that's pretty much the layout for my first Red Velvet shelf. So moving on to the shelf right below that, we have basically all of the solo and unit albums for all the Red Velvet members. So all my Irene and Seulgi albums will be here, and then of course all the solo stuff for Irene, Seulgi, Wendy, and Joy will also be here. When I was setting up this shelf, my main goal for like displaying everything was to get at least one like, I guess, headshot of every single one of the members that have like a solo act visible on this shelf. So I kind of succeeded there, except I obviously don't have one of Yeri, but that's because she doesn't have a solo release to this point. Thank you, SM. But hopefully Blitzway will fix that in the upcoming year. But in place of Yeri, I did actually add this little Kuromi keychain here as kind of like a stand-in because it's purple, and purple is of course like Yeri's color. So we can just pretend that Kuromi is representing Yeri on this shelf. But other than that, you can see at least like every member's face one time here. So you have Wendy on the far left, and then Joy, and then Irene back there, and then of course like a whole bunch of Seulgi over here. So that's kind of like the main setup I was going for this shelf. And I guess to get into a little bit more detail, just to show off like some of the finer details of this shelf. So you can see I have the Got the Beat Sminis up front and center here, and of course we have Seulgi in the center because she is my bias, but other than that, I think I just arranged those in age order. You can see this little charm that I decided to hang on my Cerulean Verge albums. I actually got this charm at the Wendy concert back in November as a freebie while I was standing outside. So I thought that would be a nice addition to this shelf, basically as just like an extra little knick-knack. Back here, you can see the keychain version of the Cerulean Verge album for Wendy, and then my Got the Beat photo books. So we have all that stuff, and then just a couple other photo books, I think also from Wendy's Wish You Hell, and then one page of Irene. And moving on to this right side, we also have a good bit going on. So first up, I have this Cosme keychain. This is actually Seulgi's Cosme character. So I just attached it to the zipper of the Tilt bag version. Then right next to that, I have this MakeStar pre-order benefit photo card from Accidentally on Purpose for Seulgi in this photo card holder. And then in front of that, it's flanked by a Seulgi mobile. So These are the keychains that you get in the AOP car version, and so I just decided to display them right up front here. And then last but not least, I also have this little Silgi keychain, which I think was a part of merch at one point in time. I don't know if it was from this year or the year prior, but I just decided to clip it onto one of the photo book versions for accidentally on purpose. So I think that's pretty much all of the like small little like details for this shelf. So this is like one last good like overall look, and yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Up next, we have my third and final red velvet shelf on this particular bookcase, but I do have another red velvet shelf on one of the other bookcases that you guys will see later, but mainly on this bookcase, it's going to be birthday era and chill kill era. There really aren't too many small details on this shelf in particular, but as you can see over to the left here, we have all of the birthday albums kind of just like arranged in a vertical fashion, and then we of course have all the Sminis right there, and then we have all of the package versions from Chill Kill. We also have the poster version, which is kind of hard to see because of all the glare from the lights, but that is Solgi up front there. You can also kind of see all of the Chill Kill albums, or the photo book albums, kind of poking through from the back there. Then we of course have all of the Sminis from Chill Kill arranged in a V formation and in age order, so just to kind of keep it formal. And then over to the right here, we do have a couple things. So you can see all of the bag versions, both the bag versions from Chill Kill in the back right there. Then I also have this Silgi photo card from Cosmic Era, which I think it's a poster version card, and I just put it in this 10th anniversary photo card holder that SM released for Red Velvet's 10th anniversary. And last but not least, we have this piece of fan merch that I got. I think it was off of ITZY, if I remember correctly. And it's basically just like a puzzle of all of the album covers for every single Red Velvet album that they've done. So all the way back from Happiness Era all the way up to Cosmic. It's kind of cool to like unbox and just kind of like put the puzzle pieces together in order, and basically then just put it together and display it. So I really like that idea, and that's why I picked it up, and I also really like how it looks on my shelf. So that is the third and final Red Velvet shelf for this particular bookcase. Let me go ahead and move down to the aespa shelves. All right, so we are now at the first aespa shelf of the video, and I just want you guys to take a look at this shelf and just maybe guess at who my aespa bias is. Do you have your guesses? All right, so yeah, it's Giselle. So as you can see, Giselle's face is kind of everywhere on this shelf. So we have her on the Armageddon album, and then a couple of the poster versions up front. And then I even have a drama album. I think that was a sequence version they were calling it. But I have her version right there as well. So a whole lot of Giselle on this shelf, and you will also notice a whole lot of Giselle on the next shelf when we get to it. But not a whole lot going on here in terms of like, I guess, little details, but there are a lot of albums on this shelf. I had to do a lot of rearranging for aespa this year just because they released a lot of stuff and I already had a lot of stuff for them previously. So trying to figure out a way to like get everything onto just two shelves was kind of challenging, but we worked it out, and this is what I kind of landed on. So just to quickly point out just a little bit of the finer details, I do have the Sminis from Armageddon Era sitting right here on the left, and they of course have each of the members' symbol for each of the charms, so I have those displayed out front there. And then right here in the middle, this white box is actually the CDP, so that's kind of where I have it stowed. I wanted to have it somewhere where it was still like easy to access when I want to use it, but then also like obviously still make it look good in the setup, right? So I think this was a good compromise because I can easily just like lift it straight up when I want to use it and then put it back when it's, when I'm done with it. So that's what I decided to do with that. Then I, of course, have all of the Sminis for Drama and My World Era. They're just arranged in age order right here, also in a V formation. And then if we kind of just like pan over to the right here, you can see basically all of the early aespa albums are behind this girl's album. I really love this cover of this girl's album so much. So that's why I always try to display it in like whatever setup I decide to do, I want to make sure to try to display this particular girl's album. So unfortunately, we can't see anything from like Savage era or anything like that, but I think with what I was going for, this was like an apropos like compromise. So yeah, that's kind of what I decided to go for that. And then in the way back there, you can see some Armageddon stuff. Actually, no, that's, well, yes, Armageddon stuff and drama and My World stuff. And you can even see like this magazine version poking out for My World and also Armageddon as well. So that's kind of the setup for the first aespa shelf. Let's go ahead and get into the second one. All right, so this is aespa shelf number 2, and this is the bottom of bookcase number 1. And also, full disclosure, I am absolutely laying on the floor right now, so if my voice sounds weird, that's why. But this is a broad look overview of what this shelf looks like. So as you can see over on the far left, I have a whole bunch of Rich Man albums. I just added those like last month, obviously, because Rich Man came out. So we have the bag version in the way back there, and then the poster versions in front of that. And then we have all of the guitar versions lining the left side. And then we kind of just have the, I think they were called the energy versions, just laying flat on the shelf there and facing upwards. So that's what Rich Man era looks like. And right next to that, you can see all the stuff I have for Dirty Work. So up front here, I do have the ring version, and the ring is out of the packaging and right on top. And then I have, I think these were the case versions. And then we have the photo book back there, which I absolutely love that cover. I honestly wish I could like find a better way to display more of that cover, but this is kind of what I had to go with, just with the limited space, so that's what I landed on. Then it's kind of unnoticeable when you first look at the shelf, but these are actually Hot Mess albums. So if I move the camera over, you can see the jewel case, the poster version, and then the photo book version for Hot Mess. Again, this is another thing that I would like to like more prominently display, but unfortunately with the limited space, this is kind of just what I decided to go with. And I thought at least if I can see like the side of the jewel case version, like that's enough for me. So that's what I ended up going with. And on the right side of this shelf, it's basically all Whiplash. So in the very back, it's very hard to see, I know, because it's dark back there, but all of the Whiplash photo books are back there. And then we, of course, have all of the member versions up front. And I, of course, have Giselle displaying front and center here. And then right next to that, we have all of the whatchamacallit, the t-shirt versions. I think they were just called limited editions. I'm kind of trying to remember off the top of my head. I think they were just called limited editions. So we have the limited editions with the t-shirts and of course all of their characters on the side. So I do like the way that looks. And then right up front here, we have all the Sminis for Whiplash. And then we have this little Ning Ning over here, which I got as a freebie in an order from Mercari Japan when I bought like a couple Ning Ning photo cards, so I just decided to display it since I got it as a freebie. But that is pretty much this aespa shelf in its entirety, and I think that's all of my aespa shelves. We'll have a couple like merch items later in the video, but for right now, that's all I got for aespa. That's all I got for this first bookcase, so let's go ahead and move to the next one. Up next, we have the middle bookcase in my setup, and right on top here, I actually have a lot of things. So I have the light stick for i-dle and the keychain light stick for i-dle. I also have both light stick versions for ITZY, so I have version 1 and version 2, and then I also have the light stick keychain for ITZY as well. Down in the middle right here, I have this little Topps Now baseball card, which is actually from the Soul series back in 2004, so when the Dodgers and Padres played a series in Seoul to open up the 2024 regular season, this was kind of just a card to commemorate that. And I know it's not K-pop related, but to me it kind of is. One, because I like baseball, and I mean it's in Seoul, so it's kind of both of my worlds colliding. But then also i-dle and aespa performed at each of the games before the game, so I guess it was kind of just a way for me to remember that as well. And over here on the right, we have the Blackpink light stick key ring and the actual Blackpink light stick itself. And on top of the light stick, you can see I have this floppy hat of Blackpink, which I picked up at the concert this year back in June. And then also Blackpink related is this Blackpink membership kit, which is that big pink box in the back there. So that is basically all I got on the top of this bookcase. Moving on to the first shelf in this middle bookcase here, I have a Blackpink shelf, or what was a Blackpink shelf, and over the last like couple years, it's kind of just like morphed into a Jisoo only shelf. So I used to have a lot more Blackpink like showing on this shelf, but obviously with the two solo comebacks that Jisoo had with Me and Amartage, I kind of just had like all these album versions all of a sudden of just Jisoo, and because Jisoo is my Blackpink bias, I wanted to obviously like display those the most. So that's not to say I don't like Blackpink OT4 anymore. It's just I decided to display Jisoo's albums first and foremost here. So on the left side of this shelf here, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of Me albums. So this is from, I think, 2023. So we have the vinyl version on the left, and then we have a whole bunch of photo books stacked up in the back there. And then up front here, we have, I think it was the Smart version. Maybe it was like the Kit album. That's that red box. And then we have the two YG Select versions in front of that. And then we also have this like Hello Kitty charm, which I actually picked up very randomly at a Sanrio store when I was in Japan. They kind of just like tie it to your bag. So it's kind of, I guess, like a free gift. And I thought it would fit here because Jisoo, as we know, is a very big Hello Kitty fan, so I figure it would just work on this shelf. As we move out to the center, you can kind of see I highlighted Amartage the most, so we have the purple photo book for Amartage right there, and then also in the background we have the black photo book for Amartage with like such a gorgeous photo of Jisoo. And then we of course have the heart-shaped vinyl for Amartage, which I decided to pick up this past year as well. And the last thing I have for Amartage is the Smart version album. So we also have another very pretty photo of Jisoo on the front cover of this album as well. And then I think this is just like a little case of Lomo cards that I picked up a couple years ago, and I just like to keep it incorporated in this shelf. So that's why that's there. And finally, for all of the Blackpink stuff on this shelf, so you can't see, but behind like this vinyl for Jisoo, I have all of the digipacks for Born Pink. You can kind of see, I think it's Jisoo's head like peeking out there. You can kind of see her hair. And in addition to that, I also have all of the photo books for Born Pink, and you can also see the Kit album, I think the white boxes for Born Pink as well. So I do have a whole bunch of Born Pink albums from 2022 was when that released. And then this is also the Square Up album. So I picked this album up also when I was in Japan. So I just decided to add it to this shelf as well. And then up front here, we have the key ring for the light stick. So that was the box you saw up top here. So I actually have it out of the box and on display right here. And then this is the album, and it's literally the album that kicked off my album collection journey, essentially. So this was the first album I ever bought back in 2020, and for that reason, it always has like a special place in my heart personally. And I definitely will treasure this album like till the end of time. Like I'm never getting rid of it. So thank you Blackpink for spawning like all this like collection stuff that I decide to do. And yeah, this is pretty much my Blackpink shelf. So let's go ahead and move on to the next shelf. The next shelf on this bookcase is my Chungha specific shelf. So these are all Chungha albums. If you guys have been long followers of the channel, you know that I love Chungha's music so much. And so I do have a full album collection of hers here today, and this is kind of just where I decide to display them. There aren't too many knickknacks on this shelf compared to my other shelves, but I do have a couple. So I have this whale back here. This is actually a coin purse that I picked up in Japan when I visited last January, and I thought it would fit, I guess, with the Blooming Blue album because of, I guess, just like the ocean concept that we kind of see on the front here. So I thought if I unzip it and kind of make it look like the whale is biting the album, I thought that would look super cute, and I personally really like how it turned out. And in addition to that, I also have this little charm bracelet with Chungha's name on it. I didn't buy this or anything like that. I actually got this also as a freebie in a photo card order from Mercari US actually. So I think I bought maybe like 4 or 5 Chungha photo cards off of a seller, and they just decided to gift me this, I guess, bracelet. So I thought it'd be a nice little display piece for my shelf here. So I decided to put it over this Offset album. But other than that, nothing too crazy going on this shelf. So you have Bare and Rare Part 1 over there to the left. You have Flourishing album right up front here, kind of just like facing up, along with like Play and Hands on Me and Killing Me. And then you have those flanked by the Offset albums. And then you, of course, like I mentioned, Blooming Blue right in the center. And then off to the right here in the far back, you can see Querencia. And then we also have Gotta Go era album right in front of that. And then we have the most recent release that Chungha did, which is Alivio. So that's basically my whole Chungha shelf. Like I said, nothing too crazy, so let's go ahead and move on. This is my fourth Red Velvet shelf in my collection, and there actually is a very particular reason I have all of this cosmic stuff on this shelf. So a really long time ago, I actually had a whole bunch of i-dle albums on this shelf, and over a period of time, I guess the middle of the shelf was kind of getting worn down due to the weight of the album. So the middle of the shelf started bowing like down, and it was starting to get damaged a little bit. So I had to take all of the i-dle albums off the shelf and kind of just like either put nothing on it, or if I was going to put something on it, it would have to be very, very light. And so last year, when I was setting up this shelf for last year's video, I thought the Cosmes, because they were a new release and they were super light and airy and fluffy and just really like no weight at all, I thought they would be a perfect fit to put on this shelf, because I can't have anything like super heavy on this shelf, especially in the middle. So that's kind of why this shelf looks the way it does today. And it's for that reason why this shelf, I think, is exactly the same as my 2024 shelf tour video. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but as you can see, I have two poster version Cosmic albums on the far left and far right there. I also have all of the Target version Cosmic albums that I picked up. So I think it's just one of one particular version and then two of another version. And then we, of course, have all of the Cosme characters front and center here, stacked in age order. And then in front of those, you can see we have all of these Sminis for all the members as well. So like I said, this shelf I don't think has changed at all in the last year, but that's kind of the explanation of why it didn't change. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The shelf below that is kind of just like my miscellaneous shelf at this point in time. So you'll see a whole bunch of Le Sserafim albums over on the far left, and then I have a whole bunch of Everglow albums in the middle as well, and then kind of just like random albums on the far right. But the biggest changes to this shelf in the last year have been like the little knickknacks that I've added. I feel like I've been using that word a lot in this video, but it's kind of like the only word I can think of. Maybe trinkets, I'll start using that word as well. But I basically just added a whole bunch of knickknacks and trinkets to this shelf to kind of change it up from last year. So this shelf is kind of also looking the same, but there are a few changes. So first up, I do have this Sakura photo card from Crazy Era in this Pikachu photo card holder, which I love so much, and I'm trying to get it so that it doesn't provide too much of a glare. I think that's a pretty good look right there. So that's what the Sakura photo card looks like. And then down here, I have a couple things that I also got in Japan. I also feel like I've been saying that a lot in this video, but I got the Yunjin pin from a gacha machine, and then I also got the Toad from a claw machine. So won both of those in Japan. And then also I got this Pikachu from Japan sitting back here. I won that from a claw machine as well. And you can see I also have my Big Bang light stick right next to the Pikachu. So I still proudly display that, because Big Bang was the group that got me into K-pop all the way back in like 2013. So I picked this up at a concert when I saw them in Newark in 2015, and so I just want to make sure I remember that memory all the time, so that's why I still have this displayed. And as far as the miscellaneous albums I have over here to the right, I just have 3 different Alexa albums. I'm hoping she can release some like physical stuff in the near future, but I'm pretty sure she's still not with like a company, so we'll see how that goes. I do also have 2 card albums and then 1 Kiss of Life album over there on the far right. And I already mentioned all the Le Sserafim albums and Everglow albums, but that is pretty much all I got for this shelf. Like I said, not too much has changed from last year, so let's go ahead and move on. Real quick, I do have this last shelf on the middle bookcase here, and this is where I keep all of my photo card binders. So these are actually arranged in a very specific way to minimize warping of the photo card pages in each of the binders. Honestly, in a perfect world, I would like to lay each of these binders like flat, but I just don't have the space for that. So I have to store them vertical and kind of like make it work with what I got. So like I said, these are arranged in a very specific way so that the pages and stuff don't bend or warp or anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I just store my photo card binders. So let's go ahead and move to the next bookcase. So to kick off the main final bookcase of this video, I do have a couple things on top of it. First and foremost, I have this very pretty Irene photo. I think this is an album version from One Page of Irene. So this would have been, I think, early last year, sometime in the summer. And then I have all of Red Velvet's Season's Greetings dating back to 2023. And I will be picking up the 2026 Season's Greetings for Red Velvet as well. So I will probably try to work that into this very like minimal display that I have going on right here in the future. So that's everything I have on top of this bookcase. Then moving on, we have the first of two ITZY shelves in this bookcase. And honestly, like just thinking about like how much this particular bookcase has changed in the last year, I feel like this is the one that has changed the most compared to the other two. So let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of ITZY albums here. This ranges from ITZY era all the way to, I guess, Born to Be era, because I can see some Born to Be special editions kind of hanging around in the back there. So let's go ahead and look into these. So these are arranged in sequential order for the most part. You can kind of see albums hidden back there behind this Checkmate. I think it was a limited edition. So I have that up front and center for display, but we kind of just go in sequential order. So we work through all of the early eras like Icy and Wannabe era and Guess Who and Crazy in Love. And then it kind of just becomes like, I don't know, just like a conglomeration of all the eras, because I was just trying to figure out the best way to save space and store all of these. So it kind of loses that sequential order when it gets over to the left side of this shelf, but there still is quite a lot going on. Up front, you can see all of the Kill My Doubt digipacks and Kill My Doubt cassette versions. These are the polka albums for Born to Be. I also have this little cube, which I think was an inclusion in a Cheshire album. And then you can see all of the Kill My Doubt photo book albums, along with Cheshire's limited edition and all the Born to Be albums. And then we get behind all of those, and we have a whole bunch of special editions for, I think, Born to Be, and then also Cheshire era, and then also Kill My Doubt era. You can see in the back, you can see Checkmate photo book albums, and also Cheshire photo book albums. And then we also have the Ringo album, which I picked up in Japan this past January, so I decided to display that there. And then this is the Voltage album that I also picked up in Japan. There's kind of a glare there, so I'm going to try to do my best to avoid too much glare. But yeah, that's kind of how I decided to display this shelf. I also have this Ryujin photo card in this photo card holder here. I forget the name of this Pokemon, so if you know, do let me know in the comment section below. But that is a Pokemon photo card holder, but I honestly just picked it out because it was blue, and I like the color blue, so that is where I decided to put that Ryujin photo card and display it. So that is my first ITZY shelf. Like I said, very different from last year because a lot of this stuff was actually on the shelf below the shelf you're currently looking at. So let's go ahead and look at that one. Up next, we have my second ITZY shelf, and so everything on here is Gold era and Girls Will Be Girls era, and also Yeji's solo release, so Air. And I really, really like how this shelf looks. And when I got in the Tunnel Vision albums, I was kind of worried because I didn't honestly want to rearrange this shelf because I just love the way it looks so much. And so that's one reason that like convinced me to get new bookcases or new like half bookcases in the first place, so I could display the Tunnel Vision albums and then I guess future ITZY albums somewhere else, because I just didn't want to disrupt or change the layout of this shelf too much. So on the far left, we have a whole bunch of Girls Will Be Girls stuff. So we have all of the binder versions, and I, of course, am Ryujin biased, so I have Ryujin's binder version on display here. We have the polka and cassette versions up front here. We have the box versions and the photo book version right next to that. And then in the back there, you can see the folder version, and then I think a couple of the special editions for Girls Will Be Girls. So I really liked, with the limited amount of space that I had, I really enjoy how Girls Will Be Girls era came together. And in the middle of this shelf, I have all the albums from Yeji's Air release back in March of this year. So I think on the bottom here, it's the Oxygen version, along with the jewel cases, which were special editions, I think, and those were flanked by the Polka album versions. And then in the back here, I think that's a box version with the white cover, and then that's a photo book version there of the picture of her with the glasses, and then there's also a photo book version behind that one as well. So those are all of my Air albums. And over here we have all of my gold albums. So I have all the photo books back there, all of the Polka albums right there. I have this insert from the Phone Box album, which is not pictured because it's behind all these other albums, but I thought this picture of Ryujin was super cute, so I decided to display it. Then I have all of the member digipacks for gold, but I of course have Ryujin's displayed because she is my bias, and then all of the other members are on the bottom right here. And then that is the signed postcard that I won from the singular album that I picked up from JYP shop. So I actually don't really normally buy any of the signed albums from JYP shop, but for some reason I just decided to for gold era, just to I guess take a stab at it. And I only bought one, and I of course pulled my bias, so I was very happy to pull Ryujin's signature, and I'm going to treasure this postcard for a very long time. So that's pretty much this entire shelf. Like I said, a lot of changes compared to last year, but I don't see this changing too much anytime soon, especially because I have all the extra space now, and I'm also just very happy with how this is set up. So yeah, that's it for this shelf. All right, so now we have moved on to my first i-dle shelf of this shelf tour, and this is another shelf that I don't think has changed too much compared to last year. So this will be all of their debut stuff, so everything from I Am and all the releases after that are pretty much hidden behind this I Am album that I have front and center. But we of course move on to I Love and then I Feel era, and that's kind of just all I have on this shelf right now. I did add this Clefairy, which I got in a claw machine from, guess where, you guys? Japan. So I won this at a claw machine in Japan, so that's what I decided to do with it because it's pink, obviously, and I felt like it worked so well with all of the I Feel albums. So we have the photo book back there, and then all these jewel cases, and then of course the other I Feel versions. And I think that is the Queen version that's in the pink right there. So like I said, I just feel like it fit really well on this shelf. And these are all of the other album versions that you can see. So we have, the I Love jewel cases and the photo books. And then we can kind of see I Never Die right there. And we have I Burn and I Trust, and all of those other albums are back there. So that's pretty much the first i-dle shelf, and like I said, not too much has changed compared to last year, so let's go ahead and move on. Now we have my second i-dle shelf, and this also hasn't seen too many changes, but I did get the addition of the We Are release this year, so I have all 3 of the We Are photo books, and then 2 of the Polka album photo books, and then I do have the smart platform version for We Are i-dle up front there. So those are really the only additions to this shelf over the last year, but everything else is kind of the same if I remember correctly. So we have all of the I Sway album versions right there, and then we of course have all the 2 album versions right there, and then we have Heat, and then we also have my little ITZY collect book, this is where I store it on my shelf. So anytime you see this in one of my photo card storing videos, this is where I'm grabbing it from. So I have that cute photo card of ITZY right there on the cover, and I feel like it just works so well. And I'm just realizing now that I didn't mention this for my ITZY shelves, but If you can't tell, I do try to prominently display my biases for each group, like as much as I can. So for my ITZY shelves, as you noticed, you saw a lot of Rujin because she is my ITZY bias. And referring back to the aespa shelves earlier, you saw a lot of Giselle because she is my aespa bias. And here you see a lot of Oogie because she is my i-dle bias. So we have Oogie's like cassette version on display and jewel case version there and polka version there and digipack version for Heat. And then of course the collect book. So yeah, that's why I have like so much Oogie everywhere on this shelf. And we actually get to even more Oogie on the next shelf, I think. So let's go ahead and move to that. All right, so once again, I'm laying on the floor. So if the voice is different, that's why. But this is my last shelf on this far left bookcase, and I actually thought that I'd have more Oogie displayed on this shelf, but I actually have more like Mini. Mini's definitely my bias wrecker for i-dle, like if I had to pick one. So I have a whole bunch of Mini albums on the left there. So a couple photo book albums from her release back in January this year. And then front and center, you can see that very pretty photo of Mini on the cover of her vinyl version that she released for her as well. And just in front of that, I have the special version for Oogie's Oogie 1 release. So that was last year. And then in front of that, I have that cute picture of them from their I Am Free Tea World Tour, which I think was an inclusion in the Blu-ray DVD, which is actually that sky blue looking box there right next to that on the right. And then over here on the far right, you can see I have basically all of the solo stuff. So behind that Blu-ray DVD for their 2024 World Tour, I have like Soyeon's Windy release and a whole bunch of Soojin's releases. So like for Riz and Batitude and for Agassi era. I also have Mion's My album right there, you can kind of see. And then I also do have photo books in the back, I'm just now noticing, for Soojin's Agassi era as well. And if I get a little closer here, you can also see I do have this Soojin bracelet charm that I picked up, I think, in line at an i-dle concert either last year or the year before. So I thought that would be a nice little addition to this shelf here because it obviously like fits in very, very well with all of the Soojin albums, but not too much going on with this shelf. It is very different, I feel like, compared to last year. I did have to move a couple things around, and I honestly could add way more to it, but with all the extra space I have now, I don't know how quick I will be to like add extra stuff to it, so this might just be the way it is for a while. But with all of that said, that is all three of the main bookcases done, so now I'm going to go ahead and move to the smaller ones and like the areas like in between. All right, so moving on to our first of two half bookcases. As I mentioned in the intro of this video, this shelf is completely brand new. I've only had this for like 2 weeks at this point, so I don't honestly have like enough to put on it to begin with, so we're just gonna go through what I have right now. So as you can see on top here, very simple setup for right now because I don't have a lot, but I have the Giselle mood lamp that I picked up from the Sync Axis line tour merch. And then I have this little thing that the Giselle banner was in, which is also from the Sync Axis line. This is my Sync Axis line collect book, and then this is my Giselle collect book. And this is also my CD player, which I have had for over a year now, I think at this point. I've just never shown it on the channel because it's been on a different table in this room, but now that I have this extra like half bookcase here, I can display it basically in the area where I feel like it would work the best. So that's why I have it over here now. And as for the shelves themselves, as I mentioned, I just don't have enough stuff right now to really put anything on these shelves. So what I do have is aespa's version 2 light stick on the left there. And then on the right, I have the box for the acrylic mood lamp, which you just saw like a couple minutes ago. So that's really all I got on this first shelf. And on the bottom shelf here, I just put a couple large inclusions binders because I wanted something to be there for this video. I just didn't want it to be like completely empty, so I just decided to pull out a couple large inclusions binders and store there. I don't think they will stay there forever, but yeah, that's kind of just what I decided to do for the video. And in addition to these new bookcases that I have in between each of the original 3 that I already had up, I wanted to draw more attention to just like the middle space in between them. So what I did was on this side, I hung a command strip hook essentially, so I could hang a couple bags there. And so what I opted to do for this is hang the two Rich Man bag version albums that I got, just the bags, not the actual like albums themselves, but just the bags are hanging there. So they're hanging there on a command strip. And then over here on the right side, I decided to hang up also with like poster command strips my Giselle banner that I just recently bought for the Sync Axis Line tour merch. So I thought these would be like nice little additions to kind of draw attention to this middle area in between like the bookcases. And you'll see when I go through the other half bookcase, like I also have bags and stuff hung up there as well. So that's pretty much all I got for this first one. Like I said, not too crazy right now, but let's go ahead and move on. So this is the second half bookcase, and I will get to all of the albums and the shelves in a second, but I do just want to show, like I was just mentioning here, what I decided to do in this like middle area. So I also hung a hook up right here, and I hung up this tote bag that I got from ITZY's Born to Be tour back in 2024, I think it was. So I have had this bag for a while, but I think this is the first time you're seeing it on the channel. I can't remember if I had it in a haul video or not, but this is where this bag is going to go now. And then on the other side here, I also have this Wendy bag that I picked up as part of the We Alive tour merch. And again, it's just hanging there from another like command strip hook. So that's kind of like what I wanted to do to, like I said, draw attention to this middle like empty area and not really just fully rely on the posters to draw your attention to it. As for the shelf itself, I don't really have anything on the top here, except I have this brand new, just received yesterday, haven't even unboxed it yet, Huntrix light stick that I bought from Music Plaza. So I believe it was With Mew that was selling these, and these are like official. When I was looking at the light stick details, like, because I know like Netflix sells like kind of like cheap looking ones, but this is like the real deal Huntrix light stick apparently. So I'm really excited to unbox that eventually and get into it and just like check it out. But yeah, I thought I'd just put it here for the video. Like I said, I haven't even opened it yet, but I'm very excited to get into it. And as you can also see here, it did come with a photo card, and I got Rumi with mine. So very, very nice indeed. So let's go ahead and move on to the two other shelves on this half bookshelf. All right, so this is the top shelf, and as you can see, I have all of my ITZY Tunnel Vision albums to date. The special editions are not on this shelf, but I actually just also did receive those yesterday. I decided to just purchase them again through K-Town for You and take my chances that they wouldn't get lost in the mail this time, and they did not get lost in the mail. So thankfully they did show up to me, and that will probably be like my next video on this channel. So definitely look forward to an ITZY special edition unboxing for Tunnel Vision. But aside from that, I have all of the other album versions here. So I have the box version, and then in the back I have all of the member versions, so you can see all of their eyes a little bit there. And then right in front of those, I have both of the Polka album versions. I have the cassette version. I have the photo projection version displaying the mini CD. And then I have all of the photo book versions over here. And I have this, I think is the A version photo book. So I have it horizontal, displaying the member picture on the front. And you may be wondering why the photo projector pen, I guess we can call it, or keychain is just sitting very randomly out in the middle. Well, let me explain that. So this keychain is sitting out in the middle because I thought, at least for now, while I have this space, it would be cool if I could set this up literally like a projector, like a movie. And so anytime I wanted to display the picture, I could just come up and press the button and it would display the picture. So that's kind of what I've done here. So as you can see, I have actually the safety clip that usually comes wrapped around the button. I have it propping up the like actual, like, I guess laser itself or whatever. And it's actually inside this like little, I don't know what to call this, but it's like another little clip. So it's kind of like holding everything steady. But when I go ahead and press it here, let me see if I can do this with like one hand. All right, so I'm gonna press it, and there you go. So it's kind of set up like a projector. So like over here, it's like the movie screen. So you can see I have the Leah, and then, you know, right here, I'm pressing the button that's like the projector projecting the image. So like I said, I kind of just wanted to do this while I have the space. I highly, highly doubt that it will stay like this as I get more albums in, but as I have the space and just, you know, have the freedom to be creative with like all of these setups and stuff, I just decided that I'm going to do it this way for right now. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's also like pretty imaginative. So I really like it. And that is my ITZY tunnel vision shelf for this first shelf here. All right, so moving on, we have the last shelf of the entire video. And once again, not a whole lot going on this shelf because I just don't have the album stock to really fill it up at this point in time. But I do have a couple i-dle solo releases here. So I have all of Mion's My Lover albums on the left there. And then on the right, I have all of Oogi's Motivation albums very nicely displayed there on the right. And front and center on this shelf, I have this little Kuromi doll, which I won, everybody say it with me, in Japan. And brought it back with me from Japan. And like I said, I don't think it really like fully fits on this shelf, at least at this point in time, but I was kind of just like looking for other things that I had that I could move to this shelf to kind of like take up space, and I just decided to move the Kuromi to this shelf for that reason. So it is just taking up space and looking very, very cute in the middle there, but that is pretty much all I got for all of my shelves today. I feel like I was probably more thorough than I needed to be, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys like that. So now that I'm done with all of the shelves, I'm just going to very quickly show all of the posters that I have hanging around my room, and then we can get out of here. All right, so poster number 1 is going to be an aespa poster from My World Era, and I guess to give you guys a little bit of the orientation here, this is right next to the first shelf that you saw me go through in this video. So I have an aespa poster right here, then I have an i-dle I Love poster right below that, then I have a Seulgi 28 Reasons poster below that, and then on the bottom there, I have a Blackpink Born Pink poster. Then we move to the area in between shelf 1 and 2, as you can see. And so I have another aespa poster at the top there. That's from Girls Era. And below that, I have a Got the Beat poster, which you can't really see Seulgi because of the glare. Let me do this maybe. Yes, that, well, now there's another glare from the other light. So that's a Got the Beat poster. And then right below that, you can kind of see it's cut off because of how tall the half bookcase is, but that is a Red Velvet poster from SMCU Palace Era. Then we are in between bookcases 2 and 3 now, and so I have another aespa poster up here. So this is from Whiplash Era, and actually right next to that, I have a Le Sserafim banner that I picked up at the Le Sserafim concert back in September of this year. So I just decided to tack that to the wall right in the middle. And so then we move back over and down here, and I have this Oogi poster from Oogi 1 back in 2024. And then right below her, I have a very pretty Soojin poster. So that kind of rounds out the posters for this section of my wall. And the last poster I have on this side of my room is actually a new addition this year. So this is an Oogi Motivation poster that I just recently added as of like, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. And unfortunately, this is actually not the poster for Motivation I wanted to hang. I wanted to hang a different one, but the one that I hung up the first time, it was kind of crooked. And so I tried my best to, because I use command strips, to very carefully like undo it and then like re-stick it on the wall. But in the process of doing that, I ripped it. So unfortunately, that poster was a lost cause once I did that. And I mean, this poster is still very, very beautiful. It's just not the one that I wanted to hang up for Motivation, but I still wanted a poster for Motivation to hang up. And so I landed on this one, and luckily I did have 3. So I hung up this very pretty Oogi poster. And I also just think it kind of fits like in this particular corner, because obviously you have the Irene like pink One Page of Irene album right there. And then you have this not really like sky blue, but kind of like icy blue for Red Velvet Season's Greetings. And I just feel like it kind of fits because Oogi's dress is pink, and you obviously have the sky blue, you know, background of the sky in the background. So like I said, I think it just kind of fits in this corner, and this is a new poster edition for 2025. Moving on to the wall opposite of the one you guys were just looking at, I have more posters, and I do apologize for the light that is front and center here, but there just quite simply wouldn't be enough light for me to show you guys the posters if I turned off that lamp, so I'm going to keep it on, but you can see the Red Velvet birthday poster right there on the left, and then if I pan the camera up here, you can see a whole bunch of other posters. So I have this 2 poster for i-dle, which has been there, I think, for a year, because I'm pretty sure I had that hung up last year. And then right below it, we have the I Feel poster. And then next to those posters, I do have 2 new posters for this year. So these are Silgi Accidentally on Purpose posters. So this one says, She Got Us All, and then the other one on the right says, Be Not Be. And then right below that, I have a Jisoo poster from Me Era, which also is not new, so that was there last year. And in addition to that Jisoo poster, I have a new Jisoo poster. So this is from Amortage, and I think this came out of the heart-shaped vinyl version that I picked up. So I have that displayed now right next to the other Jisoo poster. And then right underneath, I think this is the first ITZY poster we've seen in this video today. So that is from Cheshire Era. And then right next to that, to finish it off, we have the i-dle poster for I Love. So very nice poster indeed. So that is my opposite wall of the one you just saw. And I still have 3 more posters to show you guys. So this is now the wall that is adjacent to the wall that I just showed you. So this is a brand new addition for 2025. This is a tour banner poster for Hwasa, which I did see Hwasa in concert back in March of this year, and I decided to pick this up. So it's, of course, a very pretty photo of Hwasa, and it has all of the cities that she visited for the Twits in North America 2025 tour. So that's a very large addition to my poster wall here. And then next to that, I have another ITZY poster from Not Shy Era. That was also there last year as well. And then right underneath that, underneath my light switch, there's another ITZY poster for Kill My Doubt, which I do believe has also been there for the last year as well. So that is all of the posters that I have in my room. Let me go ahead and just regroup, and then I'm going to go ahead and outro. So that's all I got for my 2025 shelf tour video today. I can definitely tell by looking at the runtime that this is probably going to be my longest shelf tour video to date. So yeah, thank you guys so much for staying to this point in the video if you did. I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was going through the ITZY albums, but my next video I'm planning on doing is an ITZY Tunnel Vision Special Edition unboxing video, so definitely look forward to that. That will probably be my first video of 2026 because I plan on this video being my last video of 2025 because I don't think I'm going to be able to get a new video out at the beginning of next week before 2025 ends. So since I probably won't talk to you guys until the new year, once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and of course a Happy New Year. I hope we all have happy and healthy and just safe lives in 2026 and beyond. So yeah, just have fun with your family, and I hope we all have a good time this December. And beyond that unboxing vid, I definitely plan on doing a photo card haul because I just recently had to consolidate and ship out my latest Mercari Japan haul. So a photo card haul will be coming. It will be a little bit smaller of a haul than we're used to, probably about half the size, but nonetheless, I still will film a video for it. And then of course, after that, we will get into sleeving, storing photo card videos, etc., etc. But with all of that said and out of the way, I'm going to wrap this video up and get out of here. So thank you guys so much for watching at this point in the video. If you did, I hope you have an awesome day or night whenever you watch this, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.